Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. Going to go on a bit of a riff, a bit of a rant over here to bring a point home off of this article that the good people over at djbooth.com put up last week. Shout out to them. Now, we're going to link this down below. You should check it out for yourself, read the whole thing. But veteran A&R describes the record industry's current approach to signing acts. And as stated by Angelo Torres down in the article over here, he says, "We're living in the clout age. These kids have a big social media game, and the labels are in this game of who has the numbers. Millions of followers on Instagram. I'm pretty sure if this person drops a song, it's going to reach millions of views." So here's the thing. Atlantic Records, any other record label out there, they can get together with some kid who has a huge following on Snapchat, has a huge following on YouTube, has a huge following off of Instagram or something like that, and put together some quick digital single with them, throw it up on iTunes, they promote it on their platforms, and all of a sudden through those streams, they're making tons of money. And that's just what the platform is now. That's the model right now. Now, is that the only model at which things work? No, of course not. You know, there's still plenty of vinyl records being purchased every year. There's still lots of hardworking, talented artists out there who are building a name for themselves off of just the back of their great records and their great music. But in my opinion, it's not necessarily enough to do that and only to do that. Now, what I want you guys to take away from this over here is a couple of things. The mechanisms by which talented artists, or really any artists, used to gain attention, used to get signed, used to build a name for themselves, they're not as effective as they used to be, and they have been replaced. If you're trying to be the next big rapper, band, whatever you have out there, you're not going to do it by posting, flyers up on a frickin' telephone pole somewhere. You're not going to do it by just playing, whatever local bar or venue will have you and let you play in front of like 20 to 30 people, maybe on some kind of like weekend night or like a Friday or something like that. That's not how you're going to do it. If you want to get signed, if you want to build a name for yourself, you need to get some fans on the internet. Okay, that is what you need to do. The internet is your stage. The internet is the medium through which you got to promote yourself. And I've made videos in the past about how exactly you can go about starting to lay the groundwork for this. Obviously you need some strong singles, work on your songwriting game. If you don't have anybody listening to you, don't try to force 30, 40, 50 minutes of music down people's throats right from the get-go. Give them a single, give them something through which they can be introduced to what you do. Even if you are sort of grabbing a track from your album and deciding, okay, this is the single, this is going to be my best foot forward, this track is most likely to hook people into the album. Take that thing, get some single art for it, put it up on every single platform out there people could want to listen to it on, so people can either stumble upon it, or people can run across it, or they can find it anywhere if they hear about it. Make a music video for it, get on every social media platform, try to promote it on there, and get creative on top of it. Because here's the thing, like if you can become a personality that sort of sells your music, all the better. Because you can't just simply wait for your pretty good tracks. Let's not say they're amazing, let's say they're above average. At the end of the day, there's a lot of above average music out there. Of course, there's a lot of crap, but there's also a lot of above average stuff out there too. And you need something to cut yourself apart from everybody else so that people actually focus and on what you're doing. So people actually care about what you're doing. And I'm not saying you need to, totally sell out or make an idiot of yourself and be the next, Danielle Bergoli or whatever like that. Or be the next, Instagram stuntman who's getting arrested or, breaking their neck because they're doing dumb shit off of, Instagram, doing it for the gram or something like that. But you can get creative, like, Death Grips, for example, and just make something that's totally wild and whacked out and insane. And when people are turned on to whatever you're doing visually or conceptually online on social media, they'll check out your music out of morbid curiosity. Look, there are lots of potentially artistic and strange ways that you could promote what it is you're doing. And look, there's kind of a double-edged sword to this. I don't have all the answers, and there is no single handbook out there as to how to do this stuff. You know, if there was, then everybody would be doing that thing, and there'd be even more competition to do that particular thing. And probably there'd be no reason to follow that handbook anyway, because you'd have thousands of other artists copying that very exact same model. And by virtue of that, everyone would be kind of drowned out who are making those exact efforts. What you want to do is, once you have your music game sort of settled in and you know exactly what it is that you're doing and you think you're doing something really cool, try to find a way, a concept, a sound, an aesthetic, a music video style, some kind of promotional angle, some kind of conceptual gimmick, something that you can use to hook people into that and build a following on the internet. And using that following, then you can get signed to a label. Then maybe you can get somebody representing what it is exactly you do. If that's even something that you want to bother attempting, because here's the thing, if you can build a following for yourself, then there may not necessarily be reason for a label to sign you, because if you already have the following, just market to or sell directly to them. There's some people who want to get signed anyway because they would like a label to sort of take care of all of those logistics. And then they don't have to worry about, when certain things are getting done, when the album is coming out, lots of technical problems that come along with trying to release music and be an artist. Lots of back end or behind the scenes stuff that when you have PR people working for you, when you have a label working on your behalf who is obviously taking a chunk of your sales and your streams, they will take care of for you, hopefully, if they're a good label. So then you don't have to worry about that stuff. So you can just worry about being a musician. But if you're willing to take on those tasks, you don't even need a label to do that shit for you. You can just merely do it on your own. The point I'm trying to hammer home here is that labels, they do not have the sway that they once did in terms of being able to pluck an artist out of the ether and just say, this person's popular. Bam, they're signed. Bam, they're amazing. Bam, they're selling platinum records. It doesn't work like that anymore. Labels do not have the stranglehold on the industry and what it is exactly you're listening to and when you're listening to it that they once did. However, they can go through the internet and sort of look for people who already have pre-existing clout, pre-existing hype, and then capitalize off of that by sort of, seeing this flame and adding their industry gasoline to it. Because here's the thing, if you don't have a spark, if they throw gasoline on it, shit ain't going to happen. But if you already have a spark, if you already have a following going, if you already have some kind of momentum, that is something that a label will absolutely jump on top of. And, much in the same way that back in the day, if you were a band and you had a huge following in the local scene and an A&R person could come out to a performance and see you play a show to a ton of people who loved it and see that you're, selling some kind of underground 7-inch or some shit like that, or, hear that you have something that other bands don't. Much in the same way, if people run across your internet profile and see that as an internet personality, you are standing out, you hold weight. There are people who pay attention to every single move you make. They'll jump on top of that. Labels, again, they do not want to put in the groundwork to make you famous. They would much rather you do that beforehand, and then they either use their powers to increase that, or they just benefit off of your fame by merely allowing you to monetize that popularity through music. So again, don't go into a label situation expecting a label to make you famous. I would actually argue that if you could do some of this groundwork yourself, build your own following independently, and then get signed, it would put you in a position where you have maybe a little bit more leverage in signing with a label and negotiating with a label, because obviously they're interested in you because of the following that you have. Whereas beforehand, you could be signed for almost nearly nothing because they're taking a huge risk on bringing you on because you don't have a following yet. Again, this is the age that we're living in. We're living in the age of clout, and labels want to sign people who have pre-existing fame, pre-existing popularity. They don't want to merely invest in something or somebody that they don't know is a sure thing. One, because they don't have a whole lot of money to just throw down the toilet. And two, because doing this is so much easier. It's so much more effortless. You know, it doesn't require as much. You know, it doesn't require as much groundwork. You know, making it easier for them, allowing them to kind of cut corners is what is going to increase their bottom line at the end of the day. So again, I think if you want to sort of make it out there, you need to learn to make it on your own in a way, you know, sort of learn to walk before you can run, you know, build a following for yourself online before you decide to sign with a label or even try to sign with a label, because you could end up getting ground through the gears of the industry and spit out the moment your 15 seconds of fame are up because you were not prepared to take that on. Now, listen, not that I think that the Cash Me Outside girl or even Little Pump is fully aware of how they may be getting taken advantage of in the industry because of the clout, because of the memes, because of the hype that sort of brought them to the prominence that they're currently at. But because of the massive following that both of these artists had before signing to a label, it certainly put them in a position to have more longevity in their career than they may have otherwise. So again, I know that there may be a limited amount of people and artists out there who this advice might pertain to or might help. But hopefully through this, you guys realize that we're living in the age of internet clout, that labels would rather buy into something than start something, and that in order to do that, you guys need to get kind of creative with putting your stuff out there online. It is not enough to merely record a good or even to a great album and just throw it up on Bandcamp and expect magic to happen. Maybe in a rare instance or occurrence that may work, but for a vast majority of people, that is not going to work. That means coming up with creative ways to promote what it is exactly you're doing on the internet, on social media, through other mediums, whether it be video or text or whatever. Get out there, get on every platform imaginable, get creative, and promote yourself, because if you don't, nobody else is going to. So thank you for watching. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up, or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Clout forever.